2020 대구 영어 토크콘서트 톡톡의 사회를 맡게 된 학생운영위원회 위원장 장예원,
부위원장 고다연입니다. 본행사에 앞서 중요한 안내 말씀드립니다. 본행사는 라이브 스트리밍으로 총 1시간가량 진행됩니다. 스트리밍 도중 청중의 참가 확인을 위한 구글폼 링크가 실시간 채팅으로 2번 안내될 예정입니다. 사전에 신청을 통해 선정된 청중평가단께서는 링크를 클릭하여 참가 확인을 위한 간단한 설문을 작성해 주셔야 청중 활동을 인정받으실 수 있습니다. 이에 모두 제출하셔야만 하니 강연이 모두 끝날 때까지 행사와 함께 하여 주시기를 바랍니다.
아울러 1152명의 청중 모두가 연사팀의 소중한 강연에 집중할 수 있도록 연사팀의 발표가 진행되는 동안은 실시간 채팅을 자제하여 주시길 바랍니다.
현재 첫 번째 출석 확인 설문지가 실시간 채팅에 안내되었습니다. 지금 모든 청중께서는 첫 번째 설문지를 작성, 제출하여 주시기 바랍니다. 30초 후 행사 진행을 재개하도록 하겠습니다. 지금 하면 될 것 같아요.
비록 코로나19 감염 확산이라는 큰 장애물 때문에 톡톡 아카데미와 본 행사의 전체적인 진행 방식과 홍보 방식에 많은 변화가 있긴 했지만 오늘 이 행사가 있기까지는 저희 학생운영위원회 학생들의 큰 노력이 있었는데요. 저희 2명을 포함한 24명의 학생운영위원회를 소개하겠습니다.
코로나 사태로 어려움을 겪었지만 많은 분들의 도움으로 유종의 미를 거둘 수 있었던 것 같습니다.
위기를 기회로 삼아 인터넷을 활용한 홍보를 더욱 활발히 하여 이렇게 많은 청중분들을 만날 수 있었습니다.
아카데미 이후 자체적으로 카드 뉴스를 만들고 공유하여 영어 토크 콘서트 톡톡에 대한 접근성을 높이기 위해 노력했습니다.
주마다 하나의 홍보 영상을 제작하여 대구 영어 토크 콘서트 톡톡을 널리 알렸습니다.
또 청중 여러분들을 대상으로 베스트 토커 선정을 진행하기 위해 연사팀 촬영을 진행하고 영상을 편집했습니다.
그리고 드디어 오늘 저희 학생운영위원들은 유튜브 스트리밍을 성공적으로 마치기 위해 뒤에서 열심히 뛰고 있습니다. 그럼 오늘 톡톡 즐겨주세요. 감사합니다.
행사 특성상 국민의례 및 내빈 소개는 모두 생략하도록 하겠습니다.
아쉽게도 오늘 행사에 참석하지 못하신 대구광역시 교육청 강은희 교육감님께서 격려 인사를 영상으로 보내주셨습니다. 함께 시청해 주시기 바랍니다.
Welcome everybody. First of all, I would like to congratulate everyone for the successful 6th Daegu English Talk Concert, Talk Talk. This year's theme is memory, our precious stories to remember in the midst of the difficult time with the COVID-19 crisis. I would like to praise the student speakers and student staff whose hard work over the past 3 months through online platforms has made all this possible. I would also like to show my appreciation for the teachers and the parents who have guided and supported you. I hope then you will be able to develop your future capabilities as global citizens by sharing your brilliant ideas and valuable thought through English. I promise to do my best to support you as you continue to develop your talents and pursue your dreams. I wish all of you good luck. Thank you.
Okay, then let's start the talk concert. This event is already being held for the 6th time this year, and I heard that this year's topic is something related to our memory, right?
Exactly. 2020 English Talk Concert topic is memory with the slogan, "We will remember your memory." So, our speakers did their best for almost 3 months to share their own special memories here.
That's right. I really hope that the audience here and the online audience who are watching us beyond the camera can learn and get a lot out of the speakers' creative and valuable presentations.
It would be great if we could listen to all speakers, but unfortunately, we do not have enough time to listen to all 27 teams. Representing the 27 teams, we are going to listen to the 6 teams were selected as the best talk from the online viewing and voting by the audience.
So, who's first in line?
The first team to present is Team RPRT from Dongdo Middle School. Team RPRT is the only remaining middle school team of the 27 teams. Please welcome Team RPRT for their presentation on our heartbreaking history.
Hello, my name is An Young-hyun.
And my name is Yoon Ji-min. Before we start though, we would like to ask you, what do you see when you look at the word memory?
Well, I noticed something very fascinating. It has 2 M's included. If you put them side by side, it makes a shape that forms a crown. Crowns are usually admired by a lot of people because of the way it shines so brightly. But aside from that brightness, it is enduring all the painful memory and histories. Although those are not delightful memories to recall, it is still part of the crown itself.
After all, the crown cannot shine brightly without the history it contains. Just like the crown, for our own history to shine brightly, we have to be aware of the tragic event instead of being ignorant about it.
History is a gallery of pictures in which there are few originals and many copies.
This shows the importance of remembering the painful memories. Like this saying and the crown, for our own history to shine brightly, recalling even the most painful memories is one of the best ways to improve ourselves.
Our team name is RPRT and it stands for Remember the Past, Remember the Tears. Like this team name, we are going to talk about one of the past events that many people don't recognize but are vital to us, although we suffered through it.
Susang Lake is the historical place that we are going to talk about with our theme of remembering the painful past. Many citizens in Daegu enjoy visiting the lake regularly because of the great restaurant around there and for refreshing afternoon walks with family and friends.
However, this place, which seemed to be full of joy and excitement, actually has a rough history. The history of Susang Lake goes all the way back to 1927, during the Japanese colonial era when the lake was built by Japanese officials named Rintaro Mizusaki and 4 others, including a pro-Japanese group. The lake was built to be used as a reservoir for food exploitation.
Furthermore, Professor Gon, who teaches history, stated like this: Japanese people came to Joseon Dynasty and built the lake to grow crops and take them to Japan.
As an example, we will perform a skit to help you understand the situation during that time.
What are you doing over here?
I came from the government. There were orders to build a lake in this area.
But we'll lose some of our land.
Yes, but you'll also be able to grow more crops.
Well, it's not like I have a choice. Wow, I have twice as many crops now.
Hold up, but you'll only be able to keep 1/10 of it.
Wait, that's not fair.
That's the government's orders.
What?
Despite the disadvantages that the people during that time had to face, the government still holds a memorial ceremony for the Japanese. On signs for tourists who visit that area, the government only describes Rintaro Mizusaki as a person who built the lake instead of having any explanation of the historical background during that time.
They also repair his graveyard and erect a monumental stone to honor his achievement. This is why many people do not know its real origins. Because of these actions by the government, most people believe that we are honoring Japanese people because they built this for our good.
Nonetheless, if we look at the historical timeline, we can see that the Japanese have instead caused us harm through its construction.
Nothing can be sure though because we do not know all the events that took place during that time.
But what we do know is that we have to argue for more accurate historical research to see if the Japanese actually did goodwill to us. It is time for us to step up and criticize the contradictory nature of the memorial ceremony for the Japanese who built Susang Lake.
Therefore, it is crucial to reconsider the foundation of these practices and the context of building Susang Lake.
Alexis de Tocqueville once said that history is a gallery of pictures in which there are few originals and many copies. This saying has a meaning which tells us that many history we know today are mostly consisted of misunderstood things, and the history of Susang Lake is one of them.
From this saying, we learn that our tragic history should not be distorted by others for the benefit of our future. So we have better informed people of original history of Susang Lake.
Like the crown that cannot shine without its dark times, we have to embrace even our most tragic histories for us to shine brightly. Thank you.
This presentation reminds me of the phrase, "There is no future for a nation that has forgotten his story." I'll be sure to remember the painful history of our country. By the way, have you seen the movie Inside Out?
Yes, I have. I really enjoyed it.
Today, Team Memorator from Dongmun High School will talk about long-term memory and oblivion through Inside Out. Please welcome them with a big round of applause.
Hello, the topic of today's talk is about long-term memory and oblivion. However, let me introduce ourselves. We gave ourselves the name Memorator to protect good memories by deepening the process of storing and forgetting memories. While thinking about what is related to memory, the movie Inside Out came into my mind. Have you ever seen the movie Inside Out? The process of memory formation from long-term memory to oblivion is shown in this film. This phenomenon is also seen in our daily lives. For example, we may have the experience of forgetting all the things we studied soon after the exam. This was caused by the memory being forgotten without being passed on to long-term memory. So, let's take the movie Inside Out as an example to see how long-term memory and oblivion work.
Let's get those memories down to long term.
All right, we did not die today. We'll call that an unqualified success.
Firstly, long-term memory is a memory function that keeps experience in consciousness for months to a long period of time. Another form is short-term memory, which is stored in our brain through memory fixation. In Inside Out, when Joy presses the button with her foot, the recall tube comes down and the bits are sent to memory storage. In fact, in order for the memory to be stored as a long-term memory, it takes 4 steps: encoding, consolidation, storage, and retrieval. Encoding is the process of paying attention to, accepting, and processing new information, and consolidation is the process of establishing and solidifying memories. Storage is also digging up memories over time, and retrieval is recalling memories out of stored information. Through this process, memory shifts from short-term memory to long-term memory.
Next, let us tell you about oblivion. Some people argue that oblivion occurs when the encoded and stored information is lost over time at the storage stage. German psychologist Ebbinghaus emphasized review immediately after learning, arguing that oblivion occurs in the storage stage and is proportional to the passage of time. He claims that people normally forget 42% after 20 minutes of learning, 67% after a day, and 79% after a month. This theory was used in the movie Inside Out. In the movie, the oblivious worker absorbs faded memories with vacuum and drops them into unconsciousness. These memories, they say, cannot be returned. Can memory be completely lost in practice? The memory is stored in brain cells, and when new cells are created, the existing brain cells are disconnected from the brain cell connection circuit, and new cells are connected in their place. But you can say that even if new neurons are created, the existing brain cells and memories remain somewhere. However, it's hard to recall those memories because the memory itself is completely rearranged and mixed up, which means that memory that has faded over time disappears into the place where our brain cannot retrieve it.
Through this process, we either store or forget our memories, saving valuable memories and forgetting useless memories are realms that humans cannot control. However, we tend to forget quickly what we thought unconsciously less important. We also forget bad memories in a few years. This kind of forgetfulness prevents stress from being tied to past events. If you forget something important, you can think of it again as a hint related to it. Lastly, I'd like to ask you a question. What memories have you kept and what memories have you forgotten? Thank you for listening our presentation. This topic could have been a little difficult to understand, but I think knowing the movie helped us a lot.
I totally agree with that. So who's next to present?
Next team to present is Team Philip from Dongmun High School. Team Philip is going to talk about pro-Japanese we should never forgotten. Please welcome them with a big round of applause.
Hi, we're Team Philip from Dongmun High School. Before our presentation, let me introduce the meaning of our team name. Philip means certainly will be reconstructed, and Chang-woo named his son Philip too. We want you guys to feel the desire that the pro-independent activists felt. Then let's get started.
We remember many pro-independent activists. We can never forget their fierce struggles and sacrifices. However, we have other people to remember too. We know of their existence, but we scarcely know their names, faces, or what they did. They're a pro-Japanese group called 친일파. This pro-Japanese group was made up of people who helped Japan to extort Korea's sovereignty by cooperating with the Japanese invasion. Therefore, this does not include people who are close acquaintances to Japan. They are people who harmed Korean and obstructed the independence movement against the Japanese emperor. Then, many people would wonder why we must remember the traitors even though we are having a hard time remembering the independent activists. However, in order to avoid repeating the tragic history, we must also know why it hurt. So, we're going to talk about pro-Japanese group that no one remembers, but everyone must remember. We'll let you know about these 4 people named Lee Kwang-soo, Kim Sung-soo, Kim Al-lan, and Do Duk-soo. Let's take a look together and memory about them.
The first people we are talking about are Lee Kwang-soo and Kim Sung-soo. Lee Kwang-soo is a novelist and famous for writing the February 8 Declaration of Independence and creating independence journal as known as 독립신문. Kim Sung-soo also studied how to carry out the meaning of the March 1st independence movement and strengthen his will to free our country by participating in many activities to revive the domestic industry. Then you may wonder about the fact that they are pro-Japanese traitors. After the failure of the March 1st independence movement, they became less willing to welcome independence. They all showed their submission to Japan's tyranny by agreeing with Japan's war of aggression. If they didn't change their mind, our independence could be empowered, but rather, actually, our independence was delayed because of such kind of people.
The second people we are talking about are Kim Il-lan and No Dok-soo. Kim Il-lan is an anti-educator who forced women to be loyal to Japan during the Japanese colonial period. Educators must clarify what the right values are under Japanese colonial and why Korea became a colony. However, Kim Il-lan did not. Despite her history of committing anti-ethnic acts, she passed without speaks of a reflection in a lifetime. But we recognize her as the godmother of the female world. This is our reality. Now is the time to ask why this happened. It was the pro-Japanese police that boosted the momentum of these pro-Japanese groups. The most famous person is No Dok-soo. He conducted water and electrical torture to his compatriots and even students. After liberation, he received a medal from the Korean government rather than punishment. For independence activists who were tortured, we must remember No Dok-soo.
You just learned about pro-Japanese group Lee Kwang-soo, Kim Sung-soo, Kim Il-lan, and No Dok-soo. As we know independence fighters, we know about pro-Japanese group Tinilpa. Now that you've heard our speech, what do you feel? The joy of getting new knowledge? The shame from the fact that you didn't know pro-Japanese group well? A resolution to know about history well in the future? It doesn't matter. If this story remains in your memory, and even one person remembers this speech when you recall the history of Korea, this presentation is meaningful enough. We were able to grow up by preparing for the presentation together, and we felt the value of memory that looks back on the past and thinks about it. It is the act of extending one's knowledge and sharing with others. It was an honor to have a chance to grow and to discover the true value of memory. Thank you for being the audience of our passionate and challenging story and for remembering our story. The audience's attention will not be forgotten of our memory, and you who don't forget the pro-Japanese group are independence activists of this era. Thank you for listening. We are Tim, Philip.
Thank you for the presentation. Now I understand why it's important to know about the pro-Japanese group, and I'll never forget what the speaker said today.
Speaker teams are making a good presentation. Let's have an interview with the audience. Let's have an interview with the audience.
Hello, what's your name?
My name is Sang Yunan.
We are watching the English talk concert. Please tell us how about you feel?
First of all, it is sincerely my privilege to be here listening to all of these different ideas. And for starting my interview, I would just like to say something called human ingenuity. We learned about this in my school, and human ingenuity itself is something that comforts our daily lives. And one of these ingenuities, I believe, is talking. And today we were able to see many concepts of memory and what variety, many variety of concepts which came from the simple word memory, such as, I believe, oblivion and much more. And I believe that these small concepts of memory itself emphasizes the main topic, memory itself. And I think that all of these speeches itself will just have a place within my memory, and it was just a meaningful experience for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your interview.
So next is Tim Quinn from Daegu Foreign Language High School. This team is going to talk about the importance of remembering Japanese military sexual slavery and the painful memory of our related to it. Please join us in welcoming Tim Quinn to the stage.
Hi, I'm Sunja Kim, and I'm 15 years old. You guys all have good memories, right? For me, going up to the hill and picking up some flower with my brother is a good memory. But you know that? Tomorrow, the best memory in my life will begin. I can get a job in textile factory, and finally, I can earn money. Then I can buy a pretty clothes and also pay for my brother's tuition. Anyway, I'm going to wear this tomorrow. How does it look? Do I look pretty? Gosh, I'm so excited!
Hi, my name is Sunja Kim. I'm already 80 years old. When I was 15, I thought we were going to textile factory, but we were taken to Japan. Yeah, I'm the victims of Japanese military sexual slavery. You guys don't know how much my friends and I were beaten, killed, and cried. The 15-year-old girl was serving at that cold place, dealing with 30 Japanese soldiers a day. It was so miserable. At the age of 18, I came back to Korea, but I haven't had no courage to see my family again, so I'm still living until now. That experience made my life a nightmare. It's a memory that I want to remember, but I want people to remember this memory. It won't be forgotten by people forever. Could you remember us?
What? Is there still something left for us to apologize? Hey, don't you know the Kono statement? Japan already apologized and gave financial compensation for them. So, shouldn't they wrap it up now? And also, all the Korean girls at that time volunteered to come to the Japanese military comfort center to earn money. Why does Korea keep distorting history that we drag them by force? That's so unfair. If you say that everything is our fault without knowing about our treat and effort, then we have nothing more to say.
They're fighting over that again. To be honest, Japan has already apologized and gave 10 billion won to victims for consolation. And then, isn't it over? I cannot understand why this issue is so controversial. And also, Korea only emphasizes education for entrance exam. I think the same goes for history subject. Even if we memorize it hard, we easily forget it after the exam. Then, I cannot afford to worry about this problem because I have to memorize something else. Anyway, in conclusion, I think our generation don't have to think about Japanese military sexual slavery problem. It is an issue that others have to solve and consider.
So far, we've seen 3 different memories of one incident, and the girls at the center of this problem lost their time of flower use by the war. Their lives were not easy even after the war. They have been suffering from physical and mental after effects ever since they returned home.
Fortunately, in August 1991, by public testimony of Japanese military sexual slavery victim Kim Hak-sun, the social interest began to increase. Now, with the help of many civic groups, we are trying to remember history by leaving memories and testimonies.
Nevertheless, the country left the girls with indelible scars has denied its coercion of sexual slavery and constantly maintained a stance of we've done enough, so forget about the past and focus on the future.
Not only this, the present generation living in Korea are indifferent about it and even don't feel any need to remember it.
In 2020, there are only 16 girls left. Or you make the memories of the girls who laughed with in the lively ones disappear in history? It's time for us to remember. Memory is history.
Thank you.
That was very impressive. This presentation reminded me about our painful memories again. Could you introduce the next team?
Okay, this year there have been many changes in our lives due to COVID-19 pandemic. Team Miracle from Namsan High School will make a presentation about what they realized during quarantine.
하나, 둘, 셋. Hello. This is Miracle from Daegu Namsan High School. The table of content is structured like this, and we will proceed with our presentation according to this table of content.
The world has suffered from the pandemic of the disease called COVID-19 since February. Students like us were forced to spend 4 months at home and had to do self-directed learning due to school being stopped.
But 2020 is a memorable year because we can see how COVID-19 overcame fear and turned the crisis into an opportunity.
Based on these memories, we are going to talk about how we have been dealing with it. Now, I am dreaming of an animal-related job thanks to my dog. I have lived with my dog for 5 years, and she is a very valuable family member for me. Usually, I was sorry for the lack of time spent with my dog, but this opportunity gave me more time to spend my dog. Thanks to this time, I have built a stronger bond with my dog, and I've been able to understand the dog's behaviors, which I wouldn't normally notice by learning and studying the sounds of dog and their behaviors. Another example of turning crisis to an opportunity is about the company Lego. The Lego company faced a big crisis with the appearance of digital game, but thanks to various changes and bold policies, it has once again a leading toy company. As a result, these experiences have given me an opportunity to take one step closer to deciding what my career will be, so I think that I have turned the crisis to my own opportunity.
I was preparing her for a high school life with a dream to become a Korean language teacher. As I started staying at home because of COVID-19, I started with lethargic attitude toward my future plans and career exploration. But after watching the TED, I realized that I could do activities that can improve my career path at home. So I decided to plan and implement a project called Miraculous for my younger sister who doesn't usually spend much time with me. A Miraculous project was a project in which I became a mentor to plan for 2 weeks with my younger sister and guide her through self-studying. First, I made a study plan with my younger sister. In order to meet the level of her, which is an elementary school student, I searched various educational materials and suggest the best learning plans and methods for her. I experienced more and learned how to teach students and what language and nonverbal expression to use through this project. Another example is that a friend who wants to be a teacher like me had been reading steadily to improve her reading ability. And my younger sister, whose dream is to become a doctor, read a science magazine and watched a broadcast in the field of the medicine, so she could develop her background knowledge.
In my turn, I will introduce what I learned during COVID-19 period. I have wanted to be a journalist since I was young because I was interested in Korean society and the world. When a large number of confirmed cases occurred, I looked up various news articles of COVID-19. Experts say that we should live with fighting pandemic forever, and the news mentioned that there was a shortage of doctors and nurses. I thought deeply about what I would be able to do for society and for myself in the post-corona. In the past, I was only interested in the media and only wanted to be a journalist. But because of this crisis I'm thinking about other fields through this opportunity. Many people would have thought about their future and filled in what they lacked as I did.
Based on these experiences, we realized that 2020 is a very memorable year due to this situation and how important it is to turn our crisis to our own opportunity. The Winston Churchill said, "A pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity, an optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty."
Based on our memories, it would be good to try to think this period in the future, or to think with positive and good memories rather than thinking negatively or sadly when the similar crisis strikes.
How was your 4 months and how to behave if you face this situation again? Now,
It's your turn to tell us. Thank you for listening our presentation.
시스템 문제로 인해 조정 중에 있습니다. 양해 말씀 부탁드립니다.
커넥터 누가 쓸 거죠? 이거 오너도 교인이?
이거 지금 꺼져 있어서
퓨버티. 내려, 여기. 네, 잠시 시스템에 문제가 있어서 다시 지금부터 시작하도록 하겠습니다. So now we only have one team left. What topic will this team give a presentation about? Our last team, named Puberty from CG and Dogon High School, will tell us about what is real youth and the way to find our real youth. Please welcome them with a big round of applause.
Hello everyone, I'm Lumina from Team Puberty, and today we are about to...
Dude, we are live streaming.
I can't remember anything.
Hundreds of people are watching us, come on.
No.
Well, I guess he can remember anything. Well, why did this happen? Well, it could be firstly due to his poor preparation, or he could be just too nervous to remember anything. Or it could be one of other million reasons that we'll never know. However, what we do know is that whatever the reason is, it all comes down to one thing, and it's memory. Hi, I'm Kim Min-suk from Team Puberty, and today we're about to share our idea regarding the topic memory.
When people think what makes us different from other animals, many will point out that we are rational beings that can use intelligence to think, feel, act, and do almost everything. So intelligence is the strongest weapon we have. Without it, nothing would be the same as it is now.
Okay, but I thought we were here to talk about memory, weren't we? So why talk about intelligence? Well, if you think about it, at the very base of intelligence lies one supposition, and it's being able to remember things. Now put that in other words, it's the memory that enabled us to be thinking beings.
It's not just intelligence that memory gave us. Our whole life consists of memory. Every moment we go through is kept in our memory, forming a giant chunk of memories called life. So, by reviewing these memories, we can see the footsteps we've taken and what those have led us to and where we should be heading in the future.
So now that we all know that what memory has allowed us to do, let's talk about how to use it, shall we? Now, being students, probably the most obvious and frequent thing we do with our memory is studying. Now, my school starts at 8:10 a.m. and ends at 3:45 p.m. That results in roughly 9.5 hours of staying at school. That is a lot of time, especially considering that it takes up almost 40% of your day.
And that's only for school. The majority of students have at least 1 or 2 academies, which takes 2 hours on average. At this point, it is clear that studying is the activity that we do most. However, when I looked around, it is hard to find a student who likes studying, don't you? Do you like studying? Of course, we understand them as both of us have the experience of being exhausted by the number of things to do.
However, this does not mean that we're insisting on giving up on learning. And by learning, this represents creating new memories. Think of a newborn baby. As it grows, it'll ask everyone about everything, thanks to its endless curiosity. And by doing so, it's effectively teaching itself and also creating new memories.
Sadly, that doesn't last forever. As we grew older, our mind accumulates a lot of memory, making the curiosity disappear. If this stage continues, they might give up on learning, no longer accepting new memories.
And this is exactly what we do not want. Henry Ford once said, "Anyone who stops learning, whether at 80 or 20, is old. Anyone who keeps learning remains young." And I couldn't agree more. As I've mentioned earlier, creating new memories and learning is a trait of the young people. Therefore, as long as you keep learning and create new memories, you're able to stay young forever. And who doesn't like staying young?
Our life is a series of endless learning. It is a tool given to mankind based on memory, which we consider to be our title, the greatest blessing ever. I hope you to keep useful and young until we close our eyes for the last time. Thank you for listening.
It was really good to know what real youth means. Thank you again for giving a valuable presentation. Now we've listened to all 6 best talks. How was it, everyone? Isn't it amazing that even a simple word memory can make so many different stories?
That's right. Let's give a big round of applause to the speakers who delivered great presentations today.
Now it's time to wrap up the English Talk Concert Talk. Our memory has gotten richer with the speakers' stories today. I hope today will be a valuable memory for the audiences as well.
2020 대구 영어 토크 콘서트 톡톡을 마칠 시간이 다가오고 있습니다. 함께해 주신 청중 여러분들께 감사드리며 청중 활동 참가 확인을 위한 2번째 설문이 지금 실시간 채팅에 안내되었습니다. 서식 가장 아래 오늘 2020 대구 영어 토크 콘서트 톡톡과 함께한 소감을 간단히 작성해 주시면 추첨을 통해서 문화상품권을 증정하니 청중 여러분들의 소감을 함께 나누어 주세요. 오늘 11월 14일 오후 1시 30분까지 제출하는 설문만 인정됩니다. 더보기란에도 링크가 있으니 꼭 확인 부탁드립니다. 모든 청중께서는 반드시 오후 1시 30분까지 초반에 안내됐던 링크, 지금 안내됐던 링크 2가지를 모두 완료해 주시기 바랍니다.
Please remember that Daegu English Talk Concert Talk will keep going on. We will also remember your memory. 지금까지 사회자 장예원,
고다연이었습니다.
감사합니다. you.